Would you like to become a fascinating personality, break free from plateaus, and gain power over your mental resources and your full potential? You came to the right place. Welcome to a magical journey to yourself. This show is made in Germany. If you like the show, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or puremindmagic.club. Welcome to Season 1, Shaping Your Reality. And here is your host, international magician, speaker, and book author, Victoria Mavis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pure Mind Magic Podcast, episode 20. And this episode is brought to you by the author Mark Hapwood, who wrote the book Happiness Rules. This book is packed full with methods and tricks how to achieve more and become more happy in life. Mark has a really good background in psychology, and there are so many really high valuable tips in his book. You should definitely check that out. The book Happiness Rules is available on Amazon as well as on Mark's website, and I put all the links for you into the show notes. Talking about authors, today's guest is also a best-selling author from the Netherlands. He did write already several fiction and non-fiction books, is father of several kids, and his mission is to help authors turn their written book into an audiobook. He will give us some insights why audiobooks are so successful and why it is so important as an author to have your book as audiobook available too. So welcome to the show. Today's guest is Bradley Charbonneau. Hi Bradley, what's going on in the Netherlands today?
We have beautiful 28-degree weather, blue skies, starting off on a beautiful day, and talking with you in Germany.
Fantastic.
Good start to the day.
Yeah, I think so too. And you mentioned before we started the interview that last night you did a meditation. So you're really into meditation, and why does that benefit you?
So meditation for me has been, to put it really simply, is the secret to my creativity. And it's the place where I go to fill the creative well. And so if I need anything, I'm a little low on creativity, or I need something even for my nonfiction books, then I can have a meditation session and find it.
Very good. And I think what most people underestimate, that it really takes you to be relaxed, to be really creative, because when you have too much pressure on you, it's really hard to sit down and be creative.
Exactly. I think it's even almost impossible to be creative when you're in sort of just a position of survival, when you're just getting by and you're struggling through your day and you're busy. And I think creativity needs quiet and needs peace and needs a certain level of vibration or resonance where you connect with your deeper creative self. And if you never get to that in the day, then it's going to be hard to create more, to create from a deeper place.
Yes, that is so true. And Bradley, before we dive into your profession as a best-selling author, can you reveal something really unique about you?
Really unique? Okay, well, you have Germany on my mind since you're there. When I lived in Eastern Germany just when the wall came down. And I was on my own and young and studying and adventurous. And I had a few weeks before my German classes were going to begin in formerly known as Karl-Marx-Stadt, now Chemnitz. And up in the north of Poland, there was a tiny little town out on a peninsula that looked really hard to get to. And it was spelled Hel. And I thought, oh, I have to go there because then I can say, I've been to hell and back. There you go. There's my oddball story that I just came out of my... See, there you go. I feel like I'm in a very safe, calm, connected place with you. And you ask for something unique. And within a couple seconds, a funny, oddball story just came to me. I think that's a good example of how creativity can arrive when you're in the right environment. And so you can create that environment. And one way is through meditation.
Yes, that is so true. And you see, my magic strategies are already working on you because I can't reveal my secrets. So it's on you to give some away around creativity and writing. So I think a lot of people are really interested in writing. I did that myself. It was always a big dream. And now I came out with my book last year. So far, it is only in German available, but in print. And Bradley, what is your story that you turned into a best-selling author?
So a lot of this started when I was, 20 years old. But I spent many years not being a writer. And that was painful. I spent many years not being the person I dreamed of being. I wanted to be a writer, and I wasn't doing it. And I often talk about cats and how cats have supposedly 9 lives. And I guess I figured, I guess I missed being a writer in this life. I guess I'll be a writer in some future life if I'm a cat.
Interesting.
But then I realized I'm not a cat, and I think I only have one life. And so if I really want to be a writer, I better get moving. I better get going during this life to make it happen. And one big trigger for all of this was on November 1st, 2012. I was challenged to do a writing assignment for a month, of writing every day for a month. And on November 1st, 2012, I did it, and I started, and I was scared. It was not going to be fun. I did it for a month, and I made it through. I got through in a month, and then, really long story short, I went for 100 days, 500 days, 1,000 days. I recently hit 2,000 days, and I think I'm at like 2,111 or something now. So what started out as a little 30-day challenge of trying to build a habit, build a writing habit, because back then, just a little tiny background, I was not writing. I didn't consider myself a writer. I was depressed. I was not being the person I wanted to be. I was sad. I was frustrated. I was angry. And I wasn't doing it. And so thanks to this guy and his challenge of writing every day for 30 days. I'm not talking 2,000 days. I'm talking 30 days. And I did it. And because I sort of broke through the fear and broke through that ceiling, then I was able to start. It's sort of like breaking out of a shell, I guess, if you're a baby bird and you can't get anywhere. You can't start your life until you break out of that shell. And the shell is not really that strong. Break it. Once you get to a little beak, can break the shell, opens up, like, wow, a whole nother world out here.
Wow, that's so interesting. It's like you found yourself through writing and really became the person you wanted to be.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Oh, I like that. And Bradley, you published already quite some books, and you also have some books in the fiction area. And I saw there is especially one book. It has the title Utrecht. I think it's more from the Netherlands, but the subtitle is Magic Only Has to Be Right Once. So what does that mean? I see there are some books that dealing with kind of the paranormal. Is this right?
Yeah. Supernatural, paranormal. So with magic only has to be right once. So my first study in university was mathematics, and I also really like statistics. So I'm very much I used to be sort of really a numbers guy. I like numbers. I like they're clean, they're pure. 1 + 1 is 2, and it can be very simple. And I like math to explain things. Simple math. You don't really need to go very complicated. But with science and math, like you need to prove that 1 + 1 is 2. And it always is. And you can do it 100 times and it's always going to be 2. 1 + 1 is 2. And you can do 2 - 1 is 1. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, but it always has to be correct. That's the definition of math and science. Whereas magic, and even the word magic, for some people it means many different things. In fact, I would love to hear your perspective on it. But for me, it's basically that other world that is just outside, maybe back to the little bird, just outside of that shell, just outside of the life you know. And there's a whole nother world there that's so close to us, and we can reach it. We just have to grab for it. We have to believe it, and we have to see it. And
Yes.
that's the magical world I'm looking for.
Yes, and this world definitely exists. But the thing is, it exists at the end of our comfort zone. And I always like to speak about the unknown, because there are all the possibilities and everything, but it takes a risk and you have to be brave to step into the unknown because you don't know what's coming next. And there is a saying, when nothing is sure, everything is possible.
See, that's it. That's perfect. That's perfect in alignment with my thoughts on math. So math, simple math, everything is sure. 1 + 1 is 2. But when nothing is sure, then everything is possible. And that's the beauty of what I consider magic.
Yes, it is.
And that's what's exciting. But it does scare people because a lot of people, they want the comfort and the known of 1 + 1 is 2.
Yes, but nothing big can happen out of that. So in this small world, so with just this one frame. So it's very interesting that you have this interest in the paranormal and like superpowers. You have a book on that. What would it feel like for the hero to have superpowers or be a superhero? So would you take the invitation for that? And then you also are on the field of personal development. And on your website, it says that you are sitting down every day and writing. And when I saw it correctly, there is a book called Every Single Day, and it describes this habit, right?
Yeah. That's it. That's for me the big secret as well, is a daily habit, and how if you want big change in your life, it's quite simple. It's turn that big scary change into a daily tiny change. So all I did from November 1st, 2012 was start writing every day. That's it. I had no rules. It didn't have to be perfect. It didn't have to be a chapter. It didn't have to win awards. I just needed to write words every single day. And that was it. And I've been doing it now for 2,000 days plus. And every day I'm in better shape. So every day I build on where I was yesterday. Every day I'm better because I'm doing it and I'm learning along the way, and I'm open for change. I'm open for improvement. I'm open for the unknown.
Yes, I like that. And your book has really a great subtitle, like Daily Habits to Create Unstoppable Success, Achieve Goals Faster, and Unleash Your Extraordinary Potential. So that is just perfect.
Yeah. But it is, but unleash, I like the unleash because I keep talking about the bird and its shell, but I feel so many people are stuck in their little shell, and they're scared to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a daily habit towards your goal can help you just tap at that shell, and someday it's going to break, and maybe it's going to be 4 days, maybe it's 40 days, maybe it's 400 days. And that's where also I talk a lot about perseverance and patience.
Mm-hmm.
And so having those as well, you need those, because tap. It's not going to happen on the first day, probably. And so are you willing to keep going? Are you willing to be patient and not expect the outcome? That's also kind of a hard part. But to just go with it and plan it as best you'd like and be open for the unknown.
Mm-hmm. So Bradley, since you started, you said 2,000 days plus you did with the writing every single day. Yeah. So that means no excuses. But what do you do when life gets in the way?
Well, I'm back to no excuses. I feel, and again, remember my rules. I don't have any rules. My rules are I have to write every day. So it could mean 10 minutes, and that's fine. I like to think about, easy examples are like fitness and somebody who wants to get into shape. And so if you think, I have to lose 10 kilos, or I have to be able to run a marathon. Okay, great. But that's the long-term goal. What are you doing today to build towards that goal? And today, and if you're going to follow my every single day philosophy, then at the very least, you need to, walk around the block. You need to just get out there, do it, and take some steps towards your goal on a daily basis.
That is good advice, yeah.
Yeah, and usually I consider it that any steps are good. I don't have a bad writing day. If I consider I have a bad writing day, well, then what did I learn? If I look and I say, what I wrote yesterday was terrible. Okay, great. What did I learn from it? How can I do it better? And usually we learn more when we fail. We learn more when we think we did a terrible job. Then we learn more from that.
That is so true, because then we are again out of our comfort zone, and there's another learning curve there. So, Bradley, you do this with the daily writing habit. And what would you say for listeners who don't want to become writers now? Is it also helpful to do daily journaling for yourself?
I think that a daily writing habit in any format is healthy. I think daily writing, there is something about getting the thoughts out of your head, out of your body, onto paper, or even audio if you want to record a little bit every day or something. I think getting it out of your mind and into the world. I don't even mean sharing it in public. I just mean out of your own head. Just put it on paper and you don't have to tell anybody. But I think that process works on it. And improves your relation with that thought and with that action. And then you can work on it, and then you can improve it. But if it's stuck in your head, then there's not a lot you can do. You're kind of stuck.
I like that. That's really a good description around that. So you are a writer of the written word, but you're also very into audio and all that. And that is actually how we two connected, because I found your new book that is called Audio for Authors. And on your website, it says right in the beginning in this section, 2.6 billion in audiobook sales in 2017. Are you ready for 2019?
Yeah. So as a writer, typically we're putting words onto a page, and that might mean a paper page for a print book, or with a pen and ink and on a page on a piece of paper, or we're even typing into our phone, or we're typing into a computer or a laptop or a tablet or whatever. But I feel a deeper connection with the spoken word than I do with the written word. And I feel even a little almost guilty saying that as an author who writes books. And here I am saying, I care more about, I would rather listen to a book than read it. And I think some like purist, traditional authors would say, oh, that's, blasphemy. That's terrible. How can you say that? But it's how I feel. You said something earlier about the connection of audio. And you said it really well. Could you say that again? How the voice and connect and resonance?
Yes, sure, Pretty. So before we started the actual interview, I said to you that this is why I think audio is so strong, because the voice is like the fingerprint universal. So everyone has own voice. That's their only one. So it is really personal. And when the author itself speaks the book, then it is the frequency of the author that is connecting with you, because there's vibration in that. And you feel the connection. And it is like the author, because probably you're going to hear the audiobook with a headset, like earphones plugged in, and it goes directly into your mind. So the voice and all the emotion and everything. I think there are authors there who are able to put this kind of vibrations and feeling in while they are typing the book down, but it is much stronger with all the emotion when the author is telling you the book, the content.
Okay, so you just wrote the foreword to my upcoming book, because the way you just said that is exactly, and not even exactly, it's even better than I even propose in this book. You did a wonderful job of exactly why I'm writing this book, because I think exactly what you said. I think we authors can connect with our readers or our listeners even more deeply and more directly through audio.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. It was beautifully said.
So you see, there's no accident in life, so no coincidence that there was a reason why we met, and I found your book and we are now on this podcast, and all makes sense because podcast is also about sound, about audio. And this is why I fell so much in love with the podcasting, because it's really, you can reach people all around the world, and it's different because, you also reach people you can't reach with a written book, because there are busy business people out there and they won't have the time to really sit down and read it. And some people don't like reading, but with that you can talk to people that are in the gym, that are in the car, stuck in traffic. And they got your message. So it's like you're targeting another audience for that. Yeah.
So now you're jumping in with the second important part about this whole reason I'm writing this book, is that there's a whole new market out there of listeners. And just like you said, in the gym, in the car, and or on a home speaker device. There's so many devices now that you can say, hey Alexa, what's the news? And or you can say, hey, read me an audiobook. And you can be there in your kitchen making dinner and listen to an audiobook. So the market is there, the connection is there. And what I'm trying to do now is the technology. So I had a marketing company for 10 years in the States. And now I live in Holland and I no longer have marketing company, which was, believe me, by choice. I was done with it. But I'm pretty savvy with technology and marketing and, finding the right solutions or products or software for the job. And right now, to make audiobooks and get them published through distributors, and even create a podcast, for your book. So let's say your book is 12 chapters, create a 12-episode podcast and it's called Your Book, and you're done. And that's it. And it's become so easy to do this with technology, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And so this is what my course is shooting for. It's shooting for the author who is all excited about audio, feels that connection, wants to have it. Maybe they have a couple books in audio, or they're just getting started and they want to do it. And I'm going to help them break into the audio market in audiobooks and podcasts.
Oh, that is fantastic. So to make it clear for the listeners, so you have this book. It's an ebook coming up with the title Audio for Authors, and also connected to that, there is a course available on your website. Is this correct?
Yes, exactly. So the book is an ebook, and it will explain things in words. But because of a lot of this, because I will say, for example, use this, XYZ service to get your podcast up and running. Well, I could write 4 pages on do this and then do that and then do this and then do that. But easier is to walk it through on a screen in a video with, me talking and showing you exactly how to do these things. So that's where the video course, the online video course, couples, works together with the ebook to give the full package, to give the full how-to. So it's sort of the how-to manual alongside the book. And I'm planning on, I was going to make a discount code. I'm going to give a discount code in the book for the course.
That is nice, yeah. And I think it's really like to getting started, because in the beginning it's all overwhelming. It's also when you start a podcast, because there's then so much things you have to think through and do and all that. Yeah. But I think the biggest part of it is really mindset. It's then with a book, because everyone was telling me, so when you have your first book published, it's easier to do the second and the third and so on. And it's really because you went through all these negative beliefs. Oh, I can't do that. I don't have the time, all that. So you've proven to yourself that you are able to do it, to write a book and to publish a book. And then it's getting easier. And I think it's the same here. It's also that they say it's hard to make the first million. This is the hardest part. And then it gets easier with the second million and so on. So what would you say, Bradley? What is the mindset around that and starting it, getting involved in producing audiobooks or writing books?
I think it's exactly what you said. And I am a very big proponent of getting it done. And especially, like you said, the first one is always the hardest. And I'm sure there are people who have waited 27 years to not write their first book. And then it takes them 27 days to get some kick or some spark, something triggers, and then it's 27 days and boom, they're done. And then what often happens is they will look back and say, oh, what was I so afraid of for 27 years? Why didn't I just get it done? So one of my strategies or suggestions in my audiobook is, if you have a 400-page novel that you want to turn into an audiobook, that's wonderful, but I would be concerned that you're not going to get it done. I'd be concerned that it's especially if you're thinking of recording it yourself, because I'm not going to kid around. It's a lot of work to get the audio correct. So my suggestion is for small victories. If you have a 400-page novel, let's write a 5,000 word, 20-page, a prequel, a character sketch, a short story related to the book. Anything, just something short, sweet, and done. And get that started, get it done, make it short, do the audiobook, cut it up into chapters and make a podcast, and let's get it done. Because now we're talking about 5 chapters, 3, 4, 7 chapters, something manageable that we can then finish and be proud of. Because then what also happens is that after that process, you got your short story out there. You've got it as an ebook on all the big sites and Amazon, and then you have your audiobook, you got that done, and you have it as a podcast episodes as chapters. Yay. And let's say all of this took you a month or two. Then it is going to be extremely clear to you whether or not you want to continue bigger. Do you really now want to get to your 400-page novel? And I can almost guarantee you, you're going to have a clear answer. It's going to be, it'll be one of three things. It'll be, yes, this is fantastic. I love it. This was so rewarding, and my fans love me, and they want my novel in audiobook, and I'm making money, and things are great. Or it's going to be, oh, wow, that little 20-page book almost killed me. I'm in therapy. I'm broke, and I'm giving up on, and I'm going to go work at the supermarket. And I think it's going to be one of those two things. Or maybe it's in the middle and you're not sure. But I think it's more one of the two things. It's either really clear that this was a great idea, or really clear that this is just not for you. And of course, not for you doesn't mean you don't have to do it. There are other ways to get it done. Hiring people to do all this stuff. But my important part is get short, sweet, and done.
Yeah, that is good advice. And for a motivational purpose, Bradley, would you say that there is some good money in producing audiobooks long term?
So I just, quick answer, yes. Yes. Because what is so exciting is that the audiobook market is booming. And then there are markets that we don't even know about. I mean, and then technology. People on phones, I don't really like reading books on phones, but am I going to listen to an audiobook on a phone, on a podcast? Sure. Of course. I got my phone, got my headphones. I'm walking with the dog in the forest. Great. And so that people are going to skip a generation of technology. And look at India, many English-speaking people in India, right? Mm-hmm. And many of them have smartphones. Many of them would love content in audio format, not priced too high, and get to know you as an author. And then there's all these different markets. Sure, there's Amazon and Audible and iTunes, but I joked about it, and I wrote a post about it. I made $14.38 from a company called Playster. And I had never heard of them. I still don't really know what it is. I think it's like Audible. I think they even have like movies and audiobooks, and I don't know. But they paid me $14.38 for sales of my audiobook. And I had never heard of them. I did no marketing, no nothing. It was distributed through the company I used to distribute. They distribute to 20 plus different services, and I just get a check. And so sure, is $14.38 a lot? Nope. But I'm just getting started, and my book is out there, and it's just starting, and it's just going to, I'm optimistic, but it's just going to roll in and roll in more.
I like that. And to go further, because we heard that you are a marketing guy, so you worked in marketing in the United States. Do you have some marketing tips for listeners who maybe play with the idea to produce an audiobook?
So one sort of legal issue is there are a few companies out there who want to have exclusive rights to your audiobook. So that means if you go with company XYZ, you are not allowed to use your audiobook anywhere else but company XYZ. And sure, company XYZ might be very big. That's great. And maybe there's a lot of money to be made and fans to be found. But you're cutting off so many different markets and so many different opportunities. For example, I just put up on medium.com, which has been an interesting place to post a lot of my new writing. On medium.com, I posted a chapter of my Every Single Day book. And because I have the rights to my audio files, I then embedded a single chapter, that chapter of the audiobook version. So there's one chapter you can listen to, and the same chapter you can read. And I have that flexibility because I have the rights to the files. So if you think about that, there are so many interesting places you could put a chapter. Once you have it done, you could use that content in different ways. If I really wanted to, I could, upload it to YouTube and have a, background of photos or something, make it really simple. And it could be a YouTube video, just audio. Or if I really wanted to get fancy, I suppose I could make some kind of video. But because you're created the content once, it's already done. You have it forever and you can keep using it. And and if you get creative, there are so many interesting ways to put it out there. And another one of my strategies is to put your book as a podcast or a chapter. I could just put a chapter. If I have a podcast about whatever, I could take one chapter of a different book and just put it in there. If it made sense with the content, if it made sense with the flow of the topic of the other podcast. So there's just a lot of opportunities. And what's really exciting is that this market is newer and fresher and growing like crazy. And it's so exciting because of technology and, people in the world, many, many of them with their smartphones who can download your audiobook, pay you a few bucks for it, and you're on your way.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And I think there's really a great potential, and you gave some good ideas about marketing, because I think this is also a problem for a lot of authors publishing their book. They put so much effort and energy into writing the book and get it out, and then it's out there, but no one knows, and they don't put all the energy in how to publish the book and how to get people interested in the book or audiobook or whatever. And I think that is an important aspect when you start a project like a book or an audiobook, to think about where to sell it and how to get people interested in it.
Yeah. Also, the audiobook market is a lot smaller than the ebook and print book market. And that means there's less competition. Mm-hmm. So if you have a book on, purple rainbows and baking chocolate cakes, well, I bet you don't have a lot of competition in that field. I don't know what that field is, rainbows and chocolate cakes. but you get my point.
Yes. Yes, yeah. It's true. It's the same with the podcast. So that motivated me to start it, because when you compare it to blogs, it's massive. Also with YouTube channels and all that. But last time I checked, they said that there are 500,000 podcasts worldwide, compared to, I think it was something around 50 million blogs. So there's really a big difference in that.
Yeah. And so it does take more work. I mean, here you are, you have a podcast, you know what it takes. It's recording, it's editing, it's timing, it's calendars, it's organizing. And so because you're willing to make that extra effort, you will be rewarded for that. And I think it's the same with audiobooks. I mean, if I tell 10 authors, hey, here is an easy way to make money with audiobooks, not everybody is going to say, oh, yippee, yippee, let me jump on the train. Some people say, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Oh, it probably costs a lot of money. Yeah, fine, don't do it. But that other guy who's going to do it, guess what? He's going to do it. He's going to sell audiobooks and have royalty checks for probably more than $14.38 coming in from unknown companies like Playster.
Yes, very interesting. So, Bradley, with all these marketing tips, and I think you have a lot more of them even, and can go into more depth, as well as the whole process, how to record the audiobook and get everything into place. Is there a way that you are coaching people or helping them with along the way? And how is it best to connect with you?
So, yes, I'm especially interested in helping, because I've now lived in Europe for 2 years. I've lived here for 9 years total, but I've been here for the past 2 years. I'm really interested in helping people outside of the United States. I am happy to help fellow Americans, but it's interesting for me to help help authors outside of the United States, especially in Europe, to break into this world. Because, for example, again, my XYZ company. I mean, my XYZ company is not a secret. It's ACX. It's the Audible Amazon audiobook company. And it's not a big, bad company by any means. They're fantastic. But they would prefer that you do exclusive rights. And so another point about ACX is that if you are not in the States or the UK, you cannot submit directly to ACX. You cannot upload your audiobook to them. So there are now distributors that help you do this. So you asked if I can help people. The first step for me would be to, if you're interested in audiobooks or audio anything for authors, is get my ebook and do my course. And then if you would like more sort of customized hand-holding or consulting, then I will be available for that later on. But what I'm saying is I don't want to help with the basics because I don't have a video for that or a book for that. But if you want to talk more higher level strategies when you're ready for that point, then I'm happy to help.
Oh yeah, I like the word higher level strategies. That sounds magical. All right, Bradley. So that was so much good advice, and I think also inspiration, and maybe you started some people to think around, what could it be to have my own audiobook? Because I think everyone has their own story and something they know more than others. So it's a good way, I think, to spread the word and get your message really across the world, because someone in Australia or wherever can listen to it 24 hours a day. So that is really great potential. And yeah, it's again tapping into the unknown. You never know. And I think it's just one person in the world has to listen to your book that has a special connection or can do something big for you, and it can change your life from today until tomorrow, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm so thankful talking with you, because you really said it so beautifully and succinctly about the connection with the author and the listener through audio. And I thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome, Bradley. And I would love to stay in touch with you and even to bring you again back to the Pure Mind Magic podcast in another episode.
Yeah, I would love to. It's been a joy talking with you.
Great. So thank you so much. And now you are a guest in the same time zone than I am, so that is very seldom. So we both are about to start the day, and I wish you a very magical day.
Yeah, the same to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bradley.
Bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you feel inspired after today's episode with all about audiobooks. If you haven't subscribed to Pure Mind Magic yet, please do so. That helps to grow the show. And I'm also happy when you feel in the mood to leave a short review or comment for this episode. So many books in this episode today. Also Mark Hapwood, his happiness rules. So check that out. So I thought of something different today to give you something to play around. Maybe most of you already heard of Fiverr, the platform where you can get incredible things done by freelancers in every area, like from graphic design to audio productions, web things, almost anything. So even the cover of my podcast was created there from someone really good at graphic design. So I generated a link for you where you can play around with Fiverr and get more things done even when you are asleep at night. So I do that very often, and the cool thing is that the gigs already start by $5. So try it out if you haven't already, and stay tuned. Next week there will be a very interesting interview with a coach. She's traveling the world, has also her own podcast, and helps you to get really, really successful in your area of expertise. Her name is Erika Duran, and she will be my guest on the show next Friday. Until next time, create some magic.